Well, we're ticking down the days till Christmas, dear. Let me just check. You still want Persona Dancing in Moonlight for Christmas?
Already got it.
Oh, how about Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight?
Already got it.
So I'll get you Super Smash Brothers.
Already got it.
This is going to be difficult.
The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem.
G'day and welcome to The Gaming Lovers, episode 34. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo, also a gaming lover. And
Well, that was implied with the pluralness of gaming lovers.
Pluralnesses.
Pluralnesses. It has been a big week for gaming around the world with the Game Awards, which we are going to be digging through, going through all the winners and commenting on some of the highlights and maybe some of the more awkward moments that always happen at these kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, with all these new games that have dropped in the past week, we did not really have any self-control.
Zero self-control.
Yes. It's been a rough week for us on a personal level, so I think a part of our grief was channeled through buying video games this week. So
Retail therapy never fails.
yes.
Unless you're in debt, in which case it's probably not the smartest choice, but oh well, 'tis the season.
Anyone who owns a home is always in debt, so
True.
there you go. We're not going to be out of that state for quite many years. Anyway, we are going to jump into, I guess, some of these games that we've been playing and sharing. Our first initial thoughts have been with the new Smash Brothers that's on the Switch, as well as the Persona dancing games.
Yeah, if you're a long-time fan or maybe even just a short-term fan of this podcast, we usually have a system where at the start of the episode we talk about what we have played in the past week, and at the end of the episode we talk about what we intend on playing, in the coming week. Now, at this point last week when we were predicting what we were playing, we had our usual suspects lined up. I was going to play Yakuza 0. Didn't happen. I was going to play Dark Souls 2. Also didn't happen. I did, however, get to play a little bit more of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. And you are looking or listening to, because it's a podcast, so you're probably not looking at me. But you are listening to the regional champion of Kanto.
Oh, really?
Yes, myself and Eevee. Can you believe it? Eevee went the whole distance with me, and we are collectively the champions.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you just got to take on the legendary ones that start to pop up after you beat the main.
Now, that's what's interesting. I had heard that there were, like, master trainers in the world. And I just thought they were higher level AI with higher level Pokemon, maybe a varied team, because that's usually more difficult to conquer. I didn't realize that for each Pokemon, there is a single master trainer. And they have, like, a level 100. Pick a Pokemon from the first generation for me.
Snorlax.
Okay, there is one master trainer in the world with a Snorlax. Maximum level. And you can only face him one-on-one with a Snorlax of your own. And no items are allowed. So you have to custom build a Snorlax to beat another Snorlax. And you have to do that with every darn Pokemon if you want to beat them all.
That's hard.
Now, that's a little lofty for myself. It's a bit too much of a time investment. If you know anything about my gaming goals, it's that I usually spin multiple plates at once. I'm probably going to finish capturing a certain Mewtwo, let's say. Maybe the Articuno that evaded me because I haven't been to the Seafoam Islands yet. And once I've done that, might round out the Pokedex, but I do not expect to be taking on 150 or 170 or however many master trainers there are in this world. That's a lot.
I didn't realise that they were quite like that, so that is intense. I bet someone's already done it, though.
Yeah, probably. Guaranteed you.
Somewhere in the world, someone's already done that. For me, I haven't touched Pokemon all week. Played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And then that has been neglected.
What did you say last week? Did you or did you not, regardless of context, state that you intended on beating the main storyline?
That was the goal. I'm like, yeah, I've got the time. I reckon I could get there. And then Persona dancing happened.
Yes, it did.
I have been boogieing my hours away. And it's so addictive. I'm like, oh, I'll just play for 20 minutes. Do one song, maybe do a bit of a social interaction, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, what's happened? But because the way it works, it's not as story heavy as the Persona Dancing All Night, the one that's based off number 4.
Mm-hmm.
These ones, you basically can play them. You've got short bursts of social link kind of discussions. And to unlock more of those, you have to achieve certain goals as far as each dance routine is concerned. And the more you do of that, the more social links you unlock. And so it becomes addictive. You're like, oh, I just unlocked this. I'll go watch that. And then something else unlocks. And you're like, oh, I'll just go do that now. And it becomes a never-ending cycle.
So for those who couldn't keep up with Jem's excited little tirade there, the Persona series, one of our all-time favourite video game series, absolutely undisputed, it's up there.
Yep.
For both of us. And when spin-offs start to get released for series, some people see them as cash grabs, but if you are deep into the fandom of that series, you will take every bizarre entry in whatever series you can get, right? Resident Evil had heaps of spin-offs that I adored, like the light gun shooters, the Outbreak games, even the Mercenaries games. Different styles of games, but they were all made for Resident Evil fans.
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing. People who do not like Persona or do not like rhythm games will hate the fact that there are 2 brand new, full-priced dancing rhythm games.
Yep.
Cash grabs. They're just cash grabs.
They are a little, as far as the DLC and stuff is concerned.
Considering the pricing of those actual 2 games, they individually retail at full price.
Yeah.
Now, we knew we wanted to get both because we like the characters and the music from both of those entries. So we decided to get the Endless Night collection, which has a 3rd game in it. A little bit of art, extra characters, etc., etc. So we splurged and we got something much better.
I think we got more value too. I think it ended up cheaper buying it like that than buying them both separately.
Yes, it did. More money for the 19 additional DLC tracks that are available. But for people like us, I love rhythm games. What's your history with rhythm games?
This has pretty much been it. Aside from maybe Guitar Hero, I never really played any rhythm games that I can think of throughout my childhood or even 20s. So when Persona 4 Dancing All Night came out, that was my first real proper rhythm game. And I remember feeling like such a complete uncoordinated idiot going, I'm terrible at this, I keep failing. It took a long time. I had to really almost memorize the patterns and everything for each song. And thankfully, I started looking at, rather than a game, more as a musical instrument. And when I changed my mindset of trying to play it like I'm just playing a song, it became infinitely easier for me because I do play music. I'm like, if I treat this just like anything else, then I don't get as stressed out. Whereas if you come at it like a game, it's harder. It's
kind of funny. It can work as either a blessing or a curse if you have musical experience playing a rhythm game.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple people who actually play guitar and know how to play the songs that are on Guitar Hero fail because their hands immediately move to the wrong spot, whereas all they have to do is push a yellow button.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been playing rhythm games for years. I enjoyed Buster Groove on the PS1, a game that I didn't even know what it was about when we bought it. I've been playing games like Hatsune Miku on the PS Vita and the PS4. There was even a boss that I got very excited to fight in one of the Sly Cooper games, which had a rhythm game aspect to it. And I've always liked quick time events. I can quickly react to timed events that occur quickly. But I enjoy rhythm games. I love Persona. These games, you have the music from Persona, which we love. You have remixes, which I love personally. I love remixed music if it's done well. I love the characters, and yeah, it's just nice to get extra interactions with these characters that you have grown to love. So if you like Persona and you are sort of hesitant about, oh, I don't want to play that, even if it means I get to hang out with my friends, my digital friends, we would still recommend it, yes?
Absolutely. But it's the kind of thing that unless you have played pretty much everything else in the Persona kind of catalogue, I wouldn't recommend it because they reference so many obscure things, even from the fighting games and other dancing games.
That's true.
If you don't know that, then some of it's lost on you. It's kind of like watching Infinity Wars and not having seen all the other Marvel movies and then not knowing who maybe like Doctor Strange, you might not know who Doctor Strange is if you avoided that one. Things like that. So
that's a very good point. It is pretty much the last chapter
yeah.
of this saga so far. If you have played Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5, and then you got 2 fighting games, a spin-off Persona Q, which is a dungeon crawler crossover. Then you've got Persona 4 dancing, and now you've got Persona 3 and 5 dancing. That's a fair bit to get through.
And from what I've noted, it's referenced everything so far. Like even if it's just like a one-off line, knowing what they're talking about makes it all the more better. So it really is made for the fans. But that said, like, the music is great and it's a lot of fun. If you do enjoy rhythm games, they're still going to be enjoyable for you, but you will infinitely enjoy it like much, much more if you are already a Persona fan. I think we've said that about other stuff that we've talked about with as far as Persona is concerned anyway. But yeah, so that's been on our radar this past week. And then some other stuff started dropping too, like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate!
A game that we had decided we were going to wait until Christmas.
Yeah.
Until we were not ready to wait till Christmas.
Yes. It had been one of the things I said to my family, hey, you guys can get this for me for Christmas. And then Brendo did some snooping and found out that no one had got me that for Christmas.
So I was going to get you that for Christmas, and then we just bought it and played it.
Yes, pretty much. So as we mentioned, like, we've had a rough week, and it was just kind of one of those, you know what? We want to play this now. Let's go play this now. So
I believe the technical term is treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Yep. So we had a friend over and we played with her, and she's played some Nintendo games, but I don't think that Smash Brothers is necessarily in her forte.
Yeah.
But she was still happy to play along, and I think she was having fun going, who is this person and stuff. It's always fun with people that aren't familiar with the characters, like trying to figure out who they are and what kind of context they come from. Like, what kind of video game is this person from? Like, when they saw Inkling from Splatoon, they're like, who's this? They look cool. Oh, I can hit you with paint. And to be fair, Inkling is a lot of fun. It's kind of fun seeing everyone look like they've been in a paint fight, by the end of the battle.
And even though your friend was a relative newbie to it, she still did win a game when we had a 3-way tie, which then went to sudden death, and you and I eliminated each other, leaving her as the last person standing. There's your winner.
Yep.
By doing nothing with no kills.
And she had to fight a character to unlock them because we were still in the unlocking stage, which I love. I love that. I know there will be DLC, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I love that most of it is that you got to unlock it yourself. And like Smash Brothers has always done that, where you have to fight the opponent for them in order to join your roster, because it makes that you want to keep playing the game so you can keep unlocking more different things.
Yeah. The fighting games, I used to always love unlocking characters, unlocking costumes, unlocking anything. But then with the advent of DLC, it became, all right, here's your base roster, and that'll be it. And then we'll just charge you for it later to give you more people. It's disappointing. It's disheartening. And then when you got a game like Smash Brothers, which we only got yesterday, to be fair, but you start with the base roster of 8. And there is like 74 characters in this game.
Yeah, it's a lot
That's
of work.
a lot of unlocking, and they're all actually on it, and you don't have to pay any extra for it.
Yeah.
That's good. Very good.
And if you know how to work the system, as far as with the new Nintendo Switch, if you register your games, if you either bought them digitally or you register the cartridges, you get credit towards the store. So you can actually get DLC either for free by using the credit or at least a discount
Depending
towards
on how many games you've purchased in the past 12 months.
Well, with us, we've actually bought a few. There's been a lot of great titles on the Switch. It's had an incredible year.
Oh, yeah.
This whole year for gaming has been phenomenal. Let's just put it that way. So for us, though, I think as it was announced at the Game Awards,
this is Joker. I've infiltrated the theater.
Persona 5 protagonist Joker is going to be one of the first DLCs for Smash Bros. I'm so excited.
Which, of course, nobody saw coming. Because who better to put in a Nintendo mascot brawler than a character who's only ever appeared on PlayStation? There's no history of, except for Persona Q, which was on the 3DS.
True.
There's been no other Persona games that have been anywhere near a Nintendo console.
How interesting.
Maybe that will change.
Maybe.
Maybe there'll be an enhanced edition, Persona 5 Crimson.
Yep. Never know. I'm interested to see what other DLC characters will get announced, but I will admit when I was watching the Game Awards and that logo for the Phantom Thieves came up on the screen, I squealed like such a fangirl. I'm like, Joker, there's news about Persona 5. I didn't realize it was linked with Smash Brothers right away until
Nobody expected it to be.
Until they revealed that was the calling card treasure that they'd been invited to come get. And I'm like, he's going to be in Smash Brothers. But I almost thought that maybe that there is a DLC or a new spin-off game for Persona 5 in the works that they were announcing.
Maybe they should make a dancing game. Oh, wait, hang on a second. They've already done that.
So I was intrigued, and the fact that they had specifically got the voice actors back to do that promo makes me wonder if some of the other characters might make a little cameo for an all-out attack when Joker gets the little orb of power. I don't know what the name of that is called.
It's a final smash.
The final smash, thank you. I forgot what it was called. So I'm really intrigued to see, and I'm wondering what song they're going to use from the game because there's so many great tracks, and I am so excited.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with Smash Brothers in the 16 hours since we purchased it. It's been a lot of fun, more fun already than I expected it to be. And with the exception of how embarrassing it is when you unlock. Or when you have the opportunity to unlock a character and then they whoop your tail.
Yeah.
Thankfully, when Sonic showed up on the radar, I beat him within an inch of his life. And we've unlocked him, so now I'm all set.
Yep. It's been interesting too. We played with the Joy-Cons because we only had the one Pro controller for the Switch. How did you feel playing with that? Because you were the one using the
Well, my history with the Smash Brothers series, obviously, when people think Smash Brothers, they think the GameCube controller.
Yeah.
The GameCube and Smash Brothers Melee was just a match made in heaven. And then when you got the next entry, which was on the Nintendo Wii, Smash Brothers Brawl, you could actually plug those GameCube controllers into the Wii, so you could still use them. When the next one came out, the great title of Super Smash Brothers for Wii U, what a name, there was no way to directly plug those in, but you could get an adapter. We could not get our hands on an adapter. And by the time that the wave of momentum of Smash Brothers excitement had faded, they may have been available. But by then, I had moved on. I did not enjoy the last Smash Brothers game. And I think that may have been a factor. Now, I've been using the Pro controller on the Switch for a lot of different games, like Zelda and Mario and things like that. So I'm used to that controller. So I don't think I need a GameCube controller. I just need to reprogram my brain to say, this is Smash Brothers now. This is the Smash Brothers controller. Now, you, on the other hand, were using the Joy-Cons. How did you find that? Because they are mighty small.
So annoying. I'm just so used to the GameCube controller, and also I don't they're not very ergonomic. They are great for little kids. You know what I mean? And they're great for certain mini games. I think they work well for Mario Party when you're using them in weird ways.
But you only need to use them energetically for like 30 seconds in Mario Party, and then you can rest.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers, if a 2.5-minute game is a short game, but that's still what 7 times the amount of time you'd spend doing a Mario Party minigame.
Yeah.
That's exhausting on the joints, on your fingers, locking in a tiny little claws.
So I definitely prefer the Pro controller. I find it just sits more comfortably, and I think I would be okay with just using a Pro controller. I don't feel like I'd need to use the GameCube one anymore. I feel like they finally designed a controller that I'm cool with. Like, it might be the most comfortable one since the GameCube controller. So yeah, I mean, obviously people have their preferences, and if everyone still loves using the GameCube, then they've got the adapters again for them, so that's still an option. But it's nice to know that there is a more modern controller that fills that gap, I guess. So we've had that since the Switch came out, because I knew with certain games for like Zelda and anything that you're going to be playing for any long length of time, you would want something more comfortable in your hands than the Joy-Con. So yeah, I think we just might need to get a couple more of them so that everyone can have something comfortable in their hands when they're playing Smash with us.
Well, we're not going to be buying 7 more of them to do 8 players. I can guarantee you that.
That's so cool, though, that you can have so many people play. Like, I think that's the most that I can remember to date of people being able to play Smash locally.
It's pretty great.
So, yay. I wish we'd had that option when I was younger. Like, because, I mean, there was always enough for me and my sisters, but if there was any more than that, you're constantly having to rotate. So I think that'll be one we pull out at Christmas time when we've got everyone, because lots of people will be able to play.
Good fun.
Yeah. So excited. What would you rate thus far?
I've only played it for a few hours, but...
That's enough for an initial reaction, no?
Well, coupled with the different controller, I hated playing it on the Wii U. Primarily because the Wii U gamepad was not comfortable to play those sort of games on. I didn't use the D-pad, which is one of the weakest things of the Switch, thankfully. You can use the stick. So overall, the controls feel better. There's little changes to a lot of different characters, some of them just on a graphical or a audio style, like with Kirby's Inhale. Now uses his 8-bit sound effect instead of his modern... his modern Vortex.
Yep.
But just little things have changed here and there. I'm still getting a feel for it, but with the new roster, I'm looking forward to unlocking a lot of characters.
And I can't wait to play as Joker.
Now, while your friend was over, there was one other title that we also may have spent a few bucks on.
Yes, another brand new game this week.
Which
that
makes
3.
4, technically, if you're keeping track. Because there's 2 Persona games. We invested in something that will no doubt become a regular in the social gatherings of the gaming lovers. Jackbox Party Pack 5.
It's almost been like an annual tradition. As soon as they get launched, we pounce on those games, and they are always a lot of fun because everyone has a smartphone usually. So, like, if people come over and they're not comfortable playing video games with like traditional controllers, it's so good to be able to say, hey, just use your phone. That's all you need. Here's our Wi-Fi. Everyone jump in. Let's play.
And these games always have no shortages of laughter.
Yeah.
Even when I saw the announcement trailer for the Jackbox Party Pack 5, I thought, this looks a little bit less than the previous entries, to be honest. I wasn't completely sold on about 3 out of the 5 games. But since we played it, there were laughters. A good time was had by all.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to playing it with a larger group. A lot of these games don't play to the best of their abilities with less than, say, 5 people. So I'm looking forward to getting a group of maybe 8 people together, and we're going to... Maybe we'll run the gauntlet and do every Jackbox Party Pack, and maybe we'll rank our favourite mini-games one of these days.
Sounds good. I think we'd do that after Christmas once we've made everyone test them all with us. See what it's like with a big group, since we're hosting Christmas at our house this year.
Now, just quickly, what do you think was your favourite out of the 5 mini-games that we played?
Probably the robot rap battle.
Mad vs. City.
Yes. So funny. it's kind of like Mad Libs. So they'll give you they'll say, give us a verb or an adjective or a noun, and you have to give them a word. And then they'll make a sentence out of that, ending in the word that you've given them. And then you have to come up with a new sentence that rhymes.
And still makes sense.
And makes sense to continue, obviously, the rap. And it's kind of like the drop the mic rap battles that you see on James Corden going back and forth, insulting each other. Process.
But what's fantastic is after you have typed in on your keyboard what to say, text-to-speech, the wonders of technology that is, the robots on the screen that are engaging in the rap battle will actually say your rap that you've just written.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
In like the funniest like monotone delivery and sometimes mispronunciation with text-to-speech. They don't always quite get the words right, which makes them all the more funnier. But yeah, there were some pretty funny moments and some funny rhymes and things like that. So that one got a lot of laughs, and I think maybe because I won, I'm like, yeah, that's my new game. What about you? What was your favorite mini game?
Well, to be fair, I had a great amount of time with Patently Stupid, which is the drawing minigame entry in this Jackbox party pack. You're given a problem to solve, an invention to make. How would you solve this problem? You give it a title, a drawing, and a tagline, and you give a little presentation, and you try to get funding, which is basically just a first, second, and third. And if your project is funded, you get extra points. Great fun. Can't
Very
wait
fun.
to play that with a big group.
Yes. And you thoroughly grossed us out with your drawing of someone pulling off a toenail with pliers. Ugh.
Well, the problem I was given was I need to change my toenails fast. And so what faster way is there to change your toenails than to just tear them off with pliers? That was my solution. Nails be gone.
Alrighty. I will say the one game that did kind of disappoint me a little bit, and that was Zeepeldome, where you play as like little colourful mini humans that are in an arena, I guess, basically fighting to the death. And you use your phone to kind of control, almost like Angry Bird style, like...
Yeah, you pull them in a direction, then you let go, and they'll
go
launch.
flying. But you have to look at your phone to know the direction, but then you have to look back at the TV screen, so it's not the most intuitive as far as that. But also, I found myself getting frustrated because, like, once you shot it, it would take a while for it to load and let you reshoot to change directions. And if you needed to get away out of danger, like, sometimes, like, it would take too long to process. And I found that really frustrating. And I don't know if that was part internet connection or if that was just how the game was coded, but like for me, I was finding like I was just getting so mad that I couldn't move when I wanted to and stuff. So
in the game's defense, I didn't look at my phone at all when I was aiming that because I just calculated which direction I was pulling the character from and just watching the screen to see the direction. And you can only relaunch yourself if you've connected with a wall or an enemy. Before that, you're just floating in space.
Yeah.
Now, that was to defend the game and say you're a bad player, but the game itself was very laggy. Reactions on the controls were not precise at all. Probably the only game out of the 5 I would give an unequivocal thumbs down to.
Yeah.
But there's still 4 other great games.
And that was just on the tutorial, right? And that was not easy.
Yeah, we struggled through the tutorial, and as soon as it finished and said game saving, we were like, right, we are out of here.
We're like, no, we've had enough. We're not actually going to get to the real game because no thank you. So hopefully they can, I don't know, work on that, refine it a little bit. It's not a terrible concept. It was still like a fun idea for a mini game, but it's just a little clunky, I guess. So other than that, we love Jackbox, and I'm looking forward to bringing that out over the holidays while we have friends and family over to celebrate.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side. and you could be featured in the next podcast.
As 2018 draws to a close, we want to reflect over the next few episodes, I guess, of the Gaming Lovers, just some of the amazing games that we have had.
It's been a cracking good year for video games.
Absolutely. Like, I think there was an episode earlier this year we were talking about the golden year of gaming in the 90s, but it feels like we've had another one basically this year. I would say kind of qualifies as one of the best years in gaming.
Mm-hmm. Sony's been going from strength to strength with their sales, with their first-party games.
Yes.
Nintendo have had the turnabout of the millennium with their consoles after the disastrous Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
The Nintendo Switch caught fire and has been selling like hotcakes.
Yep.
Microsoft have been making innovation after innovation with their adaptive controllers and their Xbox Game Pass, which may well be the style of subscription-based gaming that the future will be across all consoles. We'll have to wait and see for that one. But there's just been so much that has happened this year, so many great titles that have come out. Esports is booming. There's no shortage of things to talk about, which is fortunate because we have a podcast about video games. It's called The Gaming Lovers. Make sure you download it. But just like any other media, any other industry in this entertainment world, there are awards that get given out by small companies, big companies, journalists, this website, that website.
Yep.
But as a collective whole, on the scope of like the Emmys or the Golden Globes or the Oscars, which are
They're like the top of the echelon, I guess.
or the Logies, if you're an Aussie TV fan. Let's not forget the prestigious Logies.
What do you mean? Those dust collectors. Who cares about the Logies?
But the video game industry has had probably its biggest Game Awards night in the past week, quite comically named the Game Awards. What a title.
Yes.
It was so simple I actually hesitated and thought I'd said it wrong.
So the Game Awards are kind of relatively new. They haven't been around for too long, but they've already built up a level of prestige that they have like celebrities and big names coming to present these awards, which is kind of cool. So a lot of highlights that we want to touch on from the show, as well as obviously the people that won and whether we think that was the most deserving, because the guys who run the Game Awards did like a big spiel at the beginning, or like the pre-show. They have a pre-show, honey. It's like wrestling. They were talking about how it wasn't going to just be based on popular vote, because sometimes you can have games that have a huge fan base but that still are a bit broken. So it wanted to include some fan vote, but also have professionals from a lot of gaming review sites and things like that all get a say as well. So it's like an industry vote.
Yeah, it's much better than what GameFAQs.com did a few years ago when they did the greatest game of all time tournament, where you could vote, and the Undertale fan base and community basically spam voted for Undertale, which had come out like a month prior, to become named as the greatest game of all time. So there was a bit of controversy about that.
Yes, that's where fan votes, I mean, it is important, and I love things like the People's Choice Awards giving power back to the people, but at the same time, if you've got a very loud, very active fan base, then sometimes they can drown out the voices of people that don't even realize that there is a vote going on. You know what I mean? So it doesn't always work. But I like that they kind of combine the two. I think that's a really fair way to do it. So, let's reflect on the Game Awards 2018.
Yeah, like we said, it's a relatively new thing. It's been around for 5 years as the Game Awards, but it does have a bit of history because its predecessor, which was the Spike Video Game Awards on Spike TV, that went on for 10 years before that rebranding. So there is a bit of legacy to this, even though it is relatively new.
Some of their industry is young, really. So
yeah, absolutely. Some of the choices over that 5-year span has caught some criticism, but depending on who you are, maybe you're of the opinion that Dragon Age Inquisition was the game of the year.
Yes, it was. And to be fair, like, you'll find a lot of video games that both came out in the same year that both have Game of the Year editions come out. And Dragon Age was one of those. I think Witcher 3 came out the same year but much later. And different websites names different games Game of the Year. So if one website lists it, then they can put it on their branding.
Yep.
So that's why it can get confusing.
And it can become even more confusing because just before we get into the things, we've got to get these details out of the way.
Yeah.
Some people, some websites, some, what do you even call it, boards, they name their Game of the Year at different points in the year. So whereas this one's like first or second week of December, but other people hold their year, like Game of the Year awards in October or in February. You know, it's it can be hard to actually nail down what counts as a gaming year.
Exactly.
So that's just to prevent any confusion. But
Everyone
anyway,
has their own calendar that they run these things by. It's hard to keep track, but we are just going through the official list that the Game Awards have of all the winners. So this year, my goodness, some tough picks. Let's just start with the big kahuna right away.
you want to go to the big kahuna?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
So a lot of tough competition. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, God of War, Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, and Red Dead Redemption 2. All up for Game of the Year and all very deserving.
Yeah. Now, up to this point, Red Dead Redemption 2 had been cleaning the plate of all of these games in every other category that you could imagine. Like, we'll probably get to them, but outstanding performance, soundtrack, sound design, all this sort of stuff. Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 2. It was just one of those years where a top quality AAA game that had been in development for years, delivered on its promises, massive game. We have not gotten to it yet.
No, that's the one thing that we haven't got yet, which is like annoying. So like, it's so good, and we're like, want to play it, but there's still so much backlog that we've got to get through first.
But yeah, no doubt that all of these games deserve to be nominees because they have all been fantastic. The fact that Celeste is on there, a relatively less known game, which was an indie. It's got a 2D pixely art style, but the gameplay is tight as. It has great themes and story to it. I'm glad it made that cut. But overall,
God of War went home with the gong. Gong?
the gong?
I always call them gongs. I'm not sure where I get that from.
What are you talking about?
We went home with the truth, though. They won.
The gong.
The gong. Have you not heard? There's something that's like a gong. I don't know which award.
Red faces.
Maybe that's it. Another Hey Hey Saturday reference.
We're bringing it back, baby.
Maybe not. But yeah, God of War, totally deserving. I think we mentioned this early. Maybe this might have been like the beginning of our podcast was when you were playing God of War.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Wow.
Yep.
And totally deserving. I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a fantastic game. I don't think it deserved to win the best game of the year, so I'm happy that it was mentioned, but that it didn't win. Spider-Man's another one that I think could have been a contender. I still haven't finished that one personally because I'm boycotting until they fix a few things. And Red Dead, we haven't had the pleasure of being able to play yet. So
yeah, we're going to be talking about, maybe in an episode or two, we're going to be talking about our end of year awards, what we enjoyed, what we think deserves accolades from the gaming lovers that we've experienced this year. But when it comes to something like this, it's like when your football team, not your football team, but like a football team is just dominant and just wins after wins after wins after wins. You start pulling for the little guy. You start cheering for the underdog. And when Red Dead Redemption 2 started winning so much, I'm like, I got nothing against you. But I hope that either God of War or Spider-Man win this. Please.
Just share the love.
It's probably not going to happen, but I would really like it. And then when God of War won, I got very excited because you know what that meant? That meant we got to see Mr. Corey Barlog head to the stage again.
Yes. And he didn't cry that second time. We were kind of like going, because he got so emotional for Best Direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well deserved. It's always so, it sounds a little cruel, but maybe it is a little cruel. But there's something nice about seeing people get so emotional and so passionate about their work and seeing them react to that positive response that they get from fans and from people in their industry being recognized for their hard work.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about celebrating amazing games, celebrating this industry that does so much. And I love going back to Cory Barlog specifically when he won Best Direction. I love what he said about being united.
We wouldn't be driven without all the fans out there, without all the people who love games, all throughout the industry. We have an amazing community, and there is so much more that unites us than divides us.
Isn't that so good? I love that. Like, we've always said that you know, as gamers, that it doesn't matter what platform you play on or what kind of games that you love. As gamers, we're all, you know, still kindred spirits.
Yeah,
regardless.
I've definitely moved on from the era of I'm a Sega player, you're a Nintendo player, we can't be friends. Get away from me or I will stab you in the eye. Nowadays, I love nothing more than when, you know, a game like God of War excels in its sales and the head of Microsoft tweets them saying, excellent work. Wow, so impressed with this title. Things like that. I love that. I absolutely despise when I go on the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate forum at GameFAQs and people are saying, ew, Persona, yuck. Why would we want a character from that crappy series in our game? And I'm like, this is exactly why I hate the gaming audience. People like this.
Yeah.
If everyone just supports the industry and, you know, you can like a game that I don't like. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give me the right to criticize what you like.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said that there's so much that brings us together in gaming more so than what tears us apart. I mean, the video game industry is many decades old at this point.
Yeah.
And we've got people of all generations, all lifestyles, all enjoying one core media, I guess you'd call it, which has got so many different stories to tell, so many different worlds to explore. I love it.
Yeah.
I love video games. That little tiny speech just captures that, and I hope that we can all get along and no one else needs to get stabbed in the eye.
Unfortunately, like watching the live stream, there were quite a few toxic comments. You always get that on the internet and, you know, with certain, I think, branches of gaming, and maybe that's why we avoid a lot of more online gaming is because of some of the toxic culture that can come with it. But that said, there is always the positives too. And another thing that I really loved at the Game Awards was having the three big heads from Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo all on stage together to talk about this industry. And, you know, normally you see, you know, PlayStation and Xbox at E3 kind of like one-upping each other and looking very smug about it. So seeing them standing next to each other talking about this industry that they're working together to make history and to continue to grow and to work together, like that was just such a cool moment.
Yeah,
And
there's been a lot of, even just this past year, the points where like when Microsoft and Nintendo said, yep, sure, cross-play. What is it, Fortnite, I think it was? They're just like, yeah, go for it.
mm-hmm.
You can play against each other on different consoles. And everyone's like, what? Why are they getting along so well?
You're playing together?
How dare you?
What is this madness? I hope we see more of that in the future. So it's kind of encouraging to see this unification, and I hope that the fans will follow suit and see that, you know, just because you maybe have a preference of a console over one or the other, or, you know, whether it's consoles or PCs or mobile, whatever it is, that like you just recognize that gaming is gaming. It doesn't matter the format, that it's you're there to have fun, you know. So anyway,
Yeah,
we got a little preachy there.
But if you're somebody who has enjoyed watching E3s and things like that, showcases, the Tokyo Game Show, all those sort of things where you get excited, you get to see new trailers, but you get to see these heads of the corporations.
Yeah.
You get to see PlayStation's Sean Layden, Xbox's Phil Spencer, and Nintendo's Reggie.
Reggie, my
Not
body
even going to
is
try
ready.
to pronounce his surname because
No,
it's so
just
annoying.
Reggie, my body is ready. That is his new name.
His body was ready, and they were all ready, and that's just a phenomenal moment. Just to see them all together, just it's stupid as it sounds. It gave me goosebumps as someone who's a fan of that.
Absolutely.
It's like seeing Batman, Spider-Man, and I don't know. Give me another superhero.
Thor.
No, this is just another Marvel one.
Thor is Marvel.
I know, but I've got Spider-Man in there. That's what I'm saying. Batman, Thor, and Donald Trump on the same stage. 3 things you never thought would go.
I was going to say, if you're going to draw a parallel, it did remind me a little bit of in Korea when you had the two, like, North and South having that meeting. Like, that was huge.
Yeah.
So that, like, I mean, I don't say that it's anywhere near that level of huge and historic moments, but it's still a big thing that those that are normally considered, like, at least rivals, if not enemies, coming together and standing united.
Yeah, we are still waiting for Sony to disarm their nuclear warheads, but hopefully in our lifetime we will see peace.
Oh my goodness.
Let's move on, shall we?
Let's do.
Corey Barlog, what else are we going to talk about?
All right, let's go through some more of the actual games themselves and the categories. So the winner of Best Action Game for 2018 was?
Dead Cells.
Then there was Best Action Adventure Game.
Boy. No, that was not deep enough. I'm not as manly as Christopher Judge.
Boy. I can't do it either.
Read it, boy. God of War, Best Action Adventure Game.
Best Role-Playing Game went to Monster Hunter Worlds.
You are a fan of role-playing games. Is
I
there
am.
anything that was nominated that caught your eye? Dragon Quest XI, Monster Hunter World, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire.
Actually, I don't think I'd heard of that last one.
Its style is, I think, graphically, same sort of viewpoint as a Baldur's Gate.
Ah, okay. See, Octopath Traveler is the only one that's really caught my interest out of all of those. See, there's role-playing games that have the elements that feel like maybe more like Dungeons and Dragons-esque, I guess, but that don't necessarily have the story as well.
Yeah. And, 3 of them, Dragon Quest, Ni no Kuni, and Octopath Traveler, are definitely JRPGs. Monster Hunter World is more of an action RPG, and Pillars of Eternity 2 is a Western RPG, but it's not the style that you enjoy. I was just curious if anything that's just it. There's so many games that, A, we haven't had time to play, and B, some games that it's just sort of, oh, that's nominated? I've never heard of this. It's tricky.
Then for Best Narrative, man, there were so many good things in this category. This is definitely an area that we love quite a bit. That is an important part of our gaming. Detroit Become Human was nominated, God of War, Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, Spider-Man, and the winner, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Now, this excites me because I have played Detroit Become Human. I absolutely adored that narrative. I have played God of War. I absolutely adored that narrative. I've played Spider-Man, and guess what? I absolutely adored that narrative. The fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 beat them on a narrative sense, narratives, stories, characters, that's my gaming bread and butter. That is why I'm there. I will play something with garbage gameplay, terrible graphics, horrible glitches, if there is a good story to be had.
Hence the Stanley Parable.
Which we will get to. But I'm so excited that something has outdone the things that I thought would not be peaked this year.
For sure. I was genuinely surprised that Red Dead won Best Narrative. Like, I knew it would be a winner in a lot of other categories just because Rockstar do so well. They're very thorough with their graphics and building worlds and such.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, the first Red Dead had a great story, like, heartbreaking story, but, like, I wasn't sure if they would be able to top that or not.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to know, and I'm looking forward to when we finally get to play that.
Most likely in the new year. Who knows what Santa might bring me.
Here's a category that is relatively new. Best ongoing game. With this one, I'm like, I don't know if I like this as a category. Basically, it's any game that never ends, and they keep adding new chapters or DLC, basically. Or expansion packs. Basically, The Sims would qualify for this category because it never ends. You had Destiny 2, Forsaken, No Man's Sky, which I honestly believed was a finished game, but apparently maybe it was because it was so broken that they just keep adding new stuff to it. Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, and winning the category was Fortnite.
Well, no surprise there. It's a game that's going from strength to strength. They're on their 7th season, unbelievably.
Yeah.
But a lot of those games do have seasons as far as, all right, this is our next wave of content. This is our next wave of content.
They've added a lot of Christmas with a bit of an evil Santa in the trailer for Season 7, so all the Fortnite fans will be excited for that. Best art direction, interestingly, one that I had not heard of. So there was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Octopath Traveler, Red Dead Redemption 2 all nominated, but the winner was Return of the Obra Dinn.
Now, this is a game that you said you haven't heard about, but you would know the previous work from the developers.
Oh, yeah?
Have you heard of a little game called Papers, Please? Which I believe is currently free on the PlayStation Plus monthly games for the PS Vita. For the 3 of you out there who actually have a Vita, that would be a winner for you. But yeah, the Return of the Obra Dinn has a very cool art style. Let me just show you some of these screenies just to get your reaction.
So they look monochromatic kind of sketches.
It looks like if they were still images, that would be the sort of graphics you would have on an old PC
Game, yeah.
that has like just the black screen of the PC and the green pixels.
Yes.
But the fact that it's actually a 3D environment and you're moving around with that, I can see exactly why.
That one best art direction, yeah.
Now, we've mentioned before, it's not a bad thing to have a narrower scope of games that you would play. Whereas I'm a far more experimental type of gamer. And as soon as that was released, I'm like, I really want to play that. But there's just so many of those style of games that I'm like, wow. I liked Papers, Please. They've got a new game coming out. It comes out. It gets 10 out of 10 reviews. It looks like nothing else that's out at the moment graphically. It's the sort of thing that just makes me go, man, I can't wait for the next Steam sale.
Well, I'm glad that they won then, because honestly, I thought Octopath Traveler would have been a shoo-in for that because it was just such a beautiful game.
Yeah.
So that for me would have been my pick because I haven't played that one or hadn't seen what that looked like. But yeah, now that I've seen pictures, I can understand at least.
No, that's fine. We're all about educating the masses.
Yes,
and
including ourselves.
We are included in that. I'm not the final authority on anything gaming related, but I help out where I can.
Best score and music in a video game for 2018 nominated Celeste, God of War, Spider-Man, Octopath Traveler, Ni no Kuni 2, Reverent Kingdom, and the winner was Red Dead Redemption 2. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, another one that I thought, well, this could go either way because God of War had the epic music, Spider-Man had the, traditional comic book hero movie soundtrack. Celeste, like I mentioned earlier, has incredible retro style and it's got that chiptune music that I fall in love with every time. I got a shocking wave of goosebumps when I first played the Scott Pilgrim arcade game, and that music just sort of sent shockwaves through me of retro memories with a modern twist. I dug it. I've always liked that style of music. But that was just another one where Red Dead Redemption 2 keeps winning all these minor awards. And then we thought, well, we know what's going to get Game of the Year.
It really felt like that.
And then they swerved us, bro.
They totally did. They also won Best Audio Design. Best Independent Game went to Celeste, which looks like a lot of fun. Has an awesome soundtrack, hence why they were also nominated for that.
Yep.
Best Performance, Best Voice Actor, basically. So they put both men and women into this category, which I find interesting.
I'm fine with that. If you're the best of the best, it shouldn't make any difference.
Exactly.
But if you're not the best of the best, you can't complain that you're excluded.
Now, a lot of tough competition.
We have always liked the behind the scenes of video games as well, or anything that's animated, whether it be an anime, which is surprisingly animated. I bet you wouldn't have guessed by the name. Lego movies, video games, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
If it's animated, has a voice actor, we've loved the voice acting industry for years. And nowadays, a lot of it is also motion captured and even facial captured, where the people delivering the lines will have
Lots
up
of
to
dots.
hundreds of little dots on their face to be tracked by a camera just to show the intricate little muscle movements that happen when you are talking.
Yeah.
Little things that add just that extra depth of humanity to these characters.
For
and
sure.
There were some great performances this year in video games, and this was a who's who.
We had Brian Ditchart, who was Connor in Detroit Become Human, who was phenomenal. Easily, I think we mentioned when we were reviewing it, he was our favourite character.
Yeah, a lot of people say that Connor is the best character in that game. He has a unique voice, for starters. It's not a voice that you hear a lot of, that sort of tone and...
more mild-mannered for a male lead.
Yeah, and I really liked his performance in that game. It was fantastic.
He always felt like even though he was like a grown adult, like in appearance, he still felt like a kid in a way that you wanted to protect.
I didn't know how to put it into words, so I wasn't going to try and do it, but that is exactly right. He had like an innocence to him, but a determination that would be unheard of from a child unless you refuse to give them a cookie.
Or Fortnite. Christopher Judge as Kratos, God of War, who is just so iconic now with that role. He's kind of on the same level, I think, as David Hayter is as far as like Solid Snake goes.
Yeah.
Like just almost like goosebumps, and as soon as you hear it, you're like, yes, that's him.
It's just one of those roles where you cannot imagine anyone else being the voice actor for Kratos. His depth of his voice just brings such authority.
But it's not just the tenor. Like as wonderful it is to hear that, he still brings the emotion and the personality behind it.
And
know?
in the case of Kratos, who doesn't want to feel the emotions that he's feeling, you
He's
can
like,
hear the
him
struggle.
trying to push it down.
You can hear the struggle in that performance, and it's fantastic.
So many layers.
He actually presented an award with the voice actor, the young voice actor of Atreus as well, which led to one of the funniest moments of the Game Awards, where he demanded that he...
Read it, boy.
One of the biggest pops of the night.
A line you'll hear no shortage of if you've played God of War.
Yes, where... explain why that specifically, because obviously we see memes always ending in that boy, but specifically those words come up a lot in the game.
Yeah, well, Kratos is from the Greek... the Greek god pantheon, those sort of things he's been experienced with for many games. And in the God of War that came out this year, he's in an entirely different world of Norse mythology. So he can't read any of the text on the walls, any of the, prophecies that are written on these tombs and things like that. So he has his boy read it for him. So he will constantly request or demand that the boy read this.
Read it, boy.
Read it, boy. So.
It was so cool to have him do it. I knew as soon as they paused on stage, I'm like, oh, he's going to go into his Kratos voice. This is going to be great. So good. One that I was really excited for to be nominated was Melissa Mahut? I'm not sure if I'm saying her name.
Good luck.
Who voices Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. She's so good. And I'm just so thankful because when you've got a game that's got the dual voices for the main, with Mass Effect, when you've got the two different male female shepherds, people argue over which one's better.
And to be fair, both of those voice actors, both Mark Meir for the male shepherd in Dragon Age, in Mass Effect, and Jennifer Hale for the female version, both deliver their lines very well.
Yes, but bring something different to the table. They add their own personality to their characters and to their iterations, I guess. And the same goes with, Cassandra and Alexios, is that they do have some slightly differing personalities, even if the dialogue doesn't change much, if at all, through the different playthroughs.
Yep.
They still carry themselves a little differently. So I was just psyched because I've been playing Odyssey recently, and it's just to hear that and hear her talk about, they showed a little behind the scenes bit when they did the nominations announcements of her talking about Cassandra, so that was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So I was I had my fingers crossed for her. I thought that would be so cool if she won, because she did a great job, but she's probably not going to win. Then Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker in Spider-Man. He is the perfect Spider-Man.
Probably would have been given my nod for the winner of this, because I've been a Spider-Man fan for decades at this point, and I've seen so many iterations of it through animation, through video games, through movies, through rebooted movies, through another reboot of movies. And I think this may be my favourite version of Spider-Man. When I played through the Marvel Spider-Man game on the PS4, I loved it. I loved Yuri's performance. It was top-notch. And again, the fact that it was outdone by someone in a game that I haven't yet to play, Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2. There's your winner.
So another thing to look forward to is an incredible performance, incredible story, incredible game, incredible music, incredible graphics. It almost sounds like the perfect game.
Well, based off the review scores, it's darn close to it. I loved the fact that Roger said that he thanked his wife, who reminded him that when he got home, he had to leave Arthur Morgan at the door. And when you're playing what's no doubt going to be a troubled, darker character going through some stuff, you don't want to be in that 24/7.
Absolutely.
And
it can become dangerous and toxic. You hear about actors that play a lot of very dark characters struggling with it, not just in the process of filming or recording, but afterwards because it's hard to shake. I remember Jack Nicholson, I think, spoke about playing the Joker and that disturbing him a little bit after having filmed that. And that was like the early Batman movies. And he actually went and warned Heath Ledger about this, like to be cautious in that role. So it's interesting, like when you hear those stories kind of surface up and you're like, wow. So there's a lot of psychology that goes into acting, especially in this day and age where it's all very method acting, where people really try to put themselves in the shoes of the person that they're playing. And if you don't allow there to be at least a little bit of separation, then it can become very dangerous.
A bit of breathing room.
Yes, you've got to still remember that you're an individual and that you might relate to the character that you're portraying on some level, but you don't want to become them so much that you lose yourself in the process. Anyway, that
got heavy.
It did. Let's look at some more winners. We had the winner for Games for Impact went to Celeste. Best mobile game for 2018 went
Plague
to Florence.
Inc. No, it didn't come out this year?
No.
It's 6 years old? Oh, a bit late to the party, sorry.
Florence. So, piggybacking off our last episode's topic, if you're looking for some more mobile games to download, here is your list of things to check out. Donut County, Fortnite. You probably already have that. Reigns, Game of Thrones, PUBG Mobile, and Florence, which is what won.
Florence has a average review score of 4.8 on the Google Play Store. It's only a $4 game, and it follows the highs and lows of Florence's first love.
Oh, was they brushing their teeth?
There's brushing teeth mini games, which always brings the scores up. Just little things, little bit of heart, little bit of fun and games, and no doubt some emotions flowing around there. But it looks like it's a puzzle game at heart. Interactive visual novel is near perfect, wholly unforgettable metaphor for love.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
That's sweet. There you go. If you want a mobile game that actually has heart, that sounds like one to check out. Florence. Best VR AR game went to Astrobot Rescue Mission.
I have heard some good things about Astrobot.
Yep.
People have said, now this is probably high praise, but they have said that when they play that, it has a feeling like when they first experienced Mario 64. Like the music, the motion, the colours, the brightness, just that capturing of joy in a video game.
Wow.
As a platformer. There are not enough platformers these days, and I look forward to trying that one day. People have said about that game, it's not only one of the great games on the PSVR, it is probably one of the best games of the year. So it's not just gimmick VR, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I don't have one.
We'll have to test it out, borrow someone else's maybe.
Also.
Best fighting game went to Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Oh, unfortunately, Smash Brothers came out the day of the Game
know.
Awards.
Or day after in the States.
True.
For us, we were able to play it or get it the same day that the awards were on. One of the few things that makes me feel better about the fact that we still have to wait ages for Ralph Breaks the Internet come out to Australia.
Gosh, when is that due?
It came out around Thanksgiving in America. We get it Boxing Day. I know.
That sucks.
Anyway, let's save the rant for another time. Best family game of 2018. I'm so happy to announce Overcooked 2.
Yeah, a game that we have shouted its praises from the rooftop, and some stiff competition too. Mario Tennis Aces, which is a great family game. We can recommend that.
Nintendo Labo.
Starlink, Battle for Atlas, and Super Mario Party, which we can also put a rubber stamp of approval from
I
the
honestly
gaming
thought
lovers.
that was going to win because that was so much fun. I genuinely thought it's going to be a Mario game, and it's probably going to be Mario Party because that has been, at least compared to tennis, I think it's a much more solid family game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Overcooked 2 won, I was like, oh yeah, go Overcooked 2.
But there was a little bit of hope because when they were reading out the nominees, they're in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
And there was an audible pop when Overcooked 2 was announced as a nominee. So it's no doubt enjoying its success because of us recommending the series. So,
Yes, it's all thanks to the gaming lovers.
we're making a difference here, folks.
We wish. Best strategy game of 2018 went to Into the Breach.
Can't say I've played many strategy games this year.
No. Best sporting racing games went to Forza Horizon. I was going to say Horizon Zero Dawn.
Forza Horizon Zero Dawn.
What a mashup, right?
Wow.
You-
Robot dinosaurs, racing cars.
and shooting
Fantastic.
arrows out the windows.
We could also include the new Far Cry, New Dawn, and we could just make it a mashup of multiple genres.
Oh my word. That would be crazy town banana pants. Okay. Best multiplayer of 2018. Gee, I wonder what won this.
Is it Muddle Dash?
I don't even know if that got acknowledged, sadly.
Poor Muddle Dash.
Poor Model Dash. That was fun though.
Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, Destiny 2, Forsaken, Fortnite, Monster Hunter World, Sea of Thieves. Can you guess which one of those games is the best multiplayer game? It's Fortnite. Surprise, surprise.
Yep. Best student game, which I think is another relatively new category to the awards, went to Combat 2018.
I don't even know where you actually get that, if that's on a PC or if it's a mobile or what.
I imagine Steam. That seems like the kind of place, like if I was launching a new game, an indie game especially, then that's where I would put it. Personally, not that I have the talents to code or make a game. I can voice it and that's about it. Best debut indie game?
Thanks, Matt Riddle.
Debut.
Jem
Best
has
debut.
found it very hilarious that a debuting Matt Riddle in NXT, which is WWE's developmental brand, said he had a very successful debut.
Mm-hmm.
So that's become our new favourite word to use.
Pretty much.
I quite like debut.
So the best debuting indie game went to The Messenger.
Now, see, there's so many games that I want to try. And when award ceremonies come out like this, I just start flooding in brain chemicals that say you need to buy so many games. The Messenger has this awesome art style where it looks like a 8-bit Ninja Gaiden style game. You can jump, you can slash, you can dodge, you can do those sort of things. But then you can get power-ups which take you to a 16-bit graphic style, which is just... The fact that that's never really been done before is kind of mind-blowing to me, but it is a phenomenal-looking game. Controls are toit, and it just looks like a lot of fun. Toit.
Best esports game went to Overwatch. No surprise there.
Yeah, a bit more refined than old Fortnite, but it's also very competitive. Blizzard have...
And got a huge following as well. Man, the amount of cosplay stuff I see for Overwatch everywhere, even when we're in Japan, that was hugely popular in a lot of costume shops.
100%.
Best esports player, and this award was introduced by Community's Joel McHale. So that was always fun seeing him, and fun to see celebrities and find out just how much that they're a gamer, because sometimes you don't really hear these things until they're suddenly in the spotlight in the gaming industry like this. So just makes us love old Joel a little bit more. We already loved him from the show, but he introduced the winner of the best esports player for 2018, which was Sonic Fox, or Dominique McLean, who was giggling like such a nervous fanboy.
Yeah. Some people are excellent at public speaking, and some people get overwhelmed with the nervousness. The words get caught in their throat. They giggle uncontrollably. Sonic Fox was one of them, but he's one of the best video game players in the the and he would whoop you in any fighting game that you chose.
Absolutely. Whilst, dressing like a fox. Tail and all. Best esports team went to Cloud9.
I bet they were on Cloud9 after they won that.
Oh my goodness. Best esports coach. How cool is it that there are jobs like that now? You
Actual
could
coaches.
Yes.
Forget the XFL. I want to be a coach for an esports club.
Do it. You got gaming expertise.
Yeah,
just find one game to be specialised in and coach kids to success.
Just win. Just play better. Try mashing the buttons. That works for Jem when you play fighting games. Just mash the buttons.
You're just jealous because I beat you.
Spam the down B for Kirby. Yep, no problem. We're all good.
All right, so the best esports coach went to Bok Reapid Hangyu.
What did you just say?
Bok, his nickname is Reapid Hangyu.
Cool.
That's his name.
I had no idea what you were
when
saying.
When you come with internet handles and stuff like that, sometimes they're weird or they're not really a word. They're just letters.
It's even more funny when your gaming tag, as cool as it sounded when you were 18, is still one of your email addresses, and you do still give it out to people these days, and they're just like, "Are you serious?"
Best esports event went to the League of Legends World Championship. Clearly, they did not come to the one in Melbourne. Because that was pretty awesome. But anyway.
Well, maybe it wasn't as good as that. I'm sure they know.
A lot of these are American ones, though. There's one international, and that's it. Listed on there.
Well, that's where,
This is where, even though gaming is a global thing and there are winners and nominees from many countries, there is some stuff that's still a little skewed to, North America. So, best esports host... You have to pronounce this name. I'm not going to do it.
Do I have to?
Yes.
FG Skjotsk. Yeah, I'm just...
Support it?
Yeah, maybe just look it up. Look up the results from the Game Awards. And
You'd think that if you had a hard name to pronounce, your nickname that you come up with would be a little easier. But no, they're all difficult.
Yeah, these people have nicknames like Golden Boy, Machine, Red Eye, and then the one with the most complex name has Skjotsk. Jocks?
It seems
Siox.
maybe Scandinavian, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. We apologise. Maybe we'll do some research on you and figure out how to say your name if we ever have to say it again. Best esports moment went to the C9 comeback win in triple overtime versus FaZe. So there are certain videos that go viral from just the pure those. When you've got really tight surprise comebacks or endings.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Those are always amazing to watch. And I remember seeing that one go viral online and it was just so fun to watch. So I'm glad. Yes, there's a moment that I watched concerning esports that I know about which one. So that was kind of cool. Content Creator of the Year went to Ninja.
Who has been everywhere on the internet these days.
Absolutely, even collaborating with WWE recently. And he got to present as well with a Muppet.
Oh my God, Pepe.
I know. Take a selfie. I loved it so much. There need to be more Muppets.
That's the sort of thing, as soon as you see it, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But then I was laughing a lot.
They actually did really well. And kudos to Ninja. There are some haters out there, but I actually think he did really well presenting. He was calm and collected. He was well spoken. When he won his award, he was succinct. He didn't blab on for too long. He said what he needed to and got off stage, which for me, I greatly appreciate. If you're not winning from a huge category point of view, then frankly you shouldn't be on there as long as those that are winning the big awards.
Yep.
Not to take away from their win, but yeah. So I was very pleasantly surprised and thankful with how he handled that. So, any moments that you can think of that you really enjoyed just from the whole show?
The whole presentation, it did drag on a bit, but the good thing is they did intersplice these awards with video game announcements or updates on how certain video games are progressing in development. Some teasers that lasted 30 seconds and some of them were multiple minutes long, showing new maps or new content for your favourite games.
Yes.
So that helped. Now, I only got to catch about half of it. I was keeping tabs on the results of the awards on my breaks at work, but I did get to sit down and watch most of it, thankfully. And I didn't find that it dragged too much, but the general consensus was that there was a bit of a long show for what it was. I mean, this wasn't E3. This wasn't a big announcement presentation.
Yeah.
But when there were those few announcements interspliced, like I said, fun word, it definitely got the crowd excited.
There was one in particular that had me frothing at the mouth, maybe? It was like...
Dead by Daylight.
No. It was like the most teaseriest of teaser trailers where it gives you like no information whatsoever. Where everything that they show, you kind of already know anyway. And this was for Dragon Age. They had mentioned that there was going to be, like, BioWare had pre-warned fans on social media that they were going to make an announcement. This really wasn't an announcement. It was a trailer zooming out of like a statue that has some red lyrium of this poor person that looks all shriveled up.
So, you found me at last. I suspect you have questions.
Look, I loved it, and I was like, yay, there's going to be more Dragon Age and it's not dead, and, you know, hope has come back.
At least it's a confirmation that it is in development.
Works, yes.
Because some series just sort of vanish. And that's it, they're done.
But they really, like, they didn't hint at anything, like where it's going to be set or, you know, obviously the character of Solus from Inquisition is something that's going to be a pivotal thing going forward, which I don't know if that's too much. We'll leave it there as far as, like, I don't want to go too deep into the storyline in case there's spoilers for people who want to play Inquisition and haven't played it yet. But, I'm dying to know more, and I know that's the point of teaser trailers is to
it's almost like it's teasing you. Now here's the question, right? BioWare's attention at the moment is all on Anthem.
Yep.
Now, if Anthem succeeds and does well, more money comes into BioWare, which means more resources can go towards Dragon Age 4.
Yes.
If Anthem bombs, not only does that mean Anthem is dead and buried, potentially Dragon Age 4 dead and buried as well.
Potentially.
Not always when things are announced do they come to fruition. So, the question is, do you want Anthem to succeed?
I don't know. I don't want... Yes and no. I'm still a little bitter about how everything went down with Andromeda, and I want to get over that. I really do. But at the same time, I don't want EA to think that it's okay for them to meddle with a formula that was working so well and go another direction purely for the sake of making money, really. And turning... Like, all the story stuff in Anthem as well has gone into first person instead of third person. I know the combat is third person, but then when you go back to base for your solo campaign stuff, as far as I know, that's how they've explained it, you go into first person, and that bugs me so much.
You don't find it more immersive?
No.
When people are looking you in the eye?
They can still look me in the eye, or they can look at my character, but, like, no, like... You like it in games like Fallout. Even if you are playing in first person, it goes external when there's a conversation? I would prefer that, like, because you do have the option to do that in Fallout, although that does make the controls a little harder to deal with.
I meant in conversations. The camera goes out and shows your face when you're about to choose your reaction. Yeah. Like in Fallout 4, not 76, which is a pile of garbage.
Garbage.
Irradiated garbage.
Yes. It's hard to know, but, like, from some of the cutscenes or things that they've shown us at previous, like at E3 and stuff, all the conversations look very much, you know, a person talking to me through the TV screen, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of first person for a few different reasons, mostly because it makes me feel nauseous. But
That's fine.
I don't enjoy that experience and that style of gameplay as much. So for me, it's all those little things, like there's lots of little gripes that all amount to this one big that I have towards it. So
Well, let's move on from Anthem.
yes.
I was just asking for a moral dilemma.
And you got a big spiel. I'm sorry.
The Stanley Parable will be coming to console, something we talked about just the last episode, and we didn't talk much about it because you should not know much about it before you play it.
Yes, just
Now-
go in blind and enjoy.
Yeah, whenever it gets released on your whatever console you have, just buy it, play it, don't look at anything else. Don't look at reviews, don't look at previews, don't look at anything. Just enjoy it and repeatedly enjoy it.
Especially that voiceover, man. That is the whole, like, that voice actor is like a legend to the point where there's side story. A guy hired him to do a voiceover to do a big proposal to his girlfriend in that voice from that video game, which I just think is so cool. I'm like, that's a rad way.
So good. One of the most confusing and unexpected announcements that came at this Video Game Awards very early in the show, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, series I have enjoyed and fallen asleep while playing, is coming to the Switch, and to this Switch exclusively because Nintendo are publishing it.
There you go.
Team Ninja being the developer and Nintendo publishing it, and it will become a exclusive. How strange.
A lot of people, when they were watching the ad for it on the live chat that was happening while we were streaming, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a mobile game. Boo, mobile game. And then when it got announced exclusively on the Switch, they're like, what? Why is it on the Switch? Why can't it be? So,
I don't want this. What? I can't have it. No. How dare you?
it was so funny to see people flip and do a 180.
I did love when Crash Bandicoot crashed the show as well and gave Jeff, the host, a crate,
Yes.
which contained a trophy indicating that Crash Team Racing, the PS1 Mario Kart clone, rip-off, cash-in, however you want to word it, I loved the original Crash Team Racing, is getting remastered. It's nitro-fueled now, and I believe, if you watch carefully, Crash Bandicoot may give a little crotch chop to Jeff during that presentation too. So he had
watching
attitude.
too much Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
That Bandicoot had attitude, let me tell you. Another game that I was very excited to see revealed for the first time from Obsidian Entertainment, developers of Fallout New Vegas and Knights of the Old Republic 2, two games that we love. They sort of got in two different situations. Here's a series that we've made. You make the next one. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is fantastic. Oh, we don't have the resource to make a sequel. Here, Obsidian, you make it.
And
Fallout,
then they outdid him.
Fallout 3 is great. All right, can you guys make Fallout New Vegas for us? Thanks,
And
Obsidian.
then they outdid them. Do you sense a theme here?
So I've always loved Obsidian's work. They have the original creators of Fallout, the actual series, their creative / twisted minds at the helm. It is a space Western RPG looking thing.
It looks a lot like Borderlands, but not that art style. So it looks like the art style of Fallout.
Yes.
But it's like the gameplay looked very Borderlands-ish.
Yep.
So
You nailed that tweet when you said that. I thought that's exactly what was going through my brain. Nice work. But I'm very excited because they have just said it's a single-player RPG. And I'm like, that's all you need to get my attention these days.
yes.
You don't have to squeeze in multiplayer when it's not necessary.
I like if it's optional, you know? Like, if it's included, it's an added bonus to give extra gameplay for those who want it. But I hate when they force it in there when it's really not necessary.
Now, like I said, we watched this show away from each other, so I haven't actually got your thoughts on a couple of the other announcements. How did you enjoy the Mortal Kombat 11 trailer?
I was cringing the whole way through that. I literally had, because I was watching on my laptop, I had my hands like trying to cover the screen during it. I'm like, no, ew. I love fighting games, but I've never been able to stomach the ones that are just needlessly, like, graphically over the top violent.
Yep.
And I know that, like, they do that for impact and to stand out and be different, but that's why I don't play them. So, yeah, I wasn't keen. I was counting down the seconds until that trailer was over.
I was enjoying my lunch when I was watching that, so I was even better.
Isn't that always the way?
Stranger Things are getting another game which has got a 16-bit style graphics. I did love when they said we've moved up to 16-bit graphics. Watch out, Red Dead Redemption 2. Watch out, Rockstar, we're coming for you.
It was so cool, though, to have the creators of the actual TV show come out to announce this. You know, it's nice to see people working in Hollywood taking video games seriously and wanting to merge the medias, you know, and not just in a rip-off kind of way, we can make some extra cash on the side from
Make
this.
some excrement? What?
Well,
we still talk about Fallout 76?
But, you know, there's more respect, I think, slowly coming from execs and creators from Hollywood. Like, we had the Russo brothers there at the Game Awards and stuff too. They have recognized, I think, finally that, hey, video games aren't going anywhere and they're they're making more money as an industry more than Hollywood is. So let's partner with them, you know, instead of making fun of them. So it was really cool to see those moments of respect, but also like them jumping on board and making versions of content that we already know that's already out there, but not making crappy rip-offs.
Actually helping the product.
Instead of just a quick cash grab.
Yeah.
Like the Harry Potter games that are terrible. They would, every year there would be a new Harry Potter movie and then there would be a Harry Potter video game to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And they were just so terrible.
Well, I enjoyed Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix on Xbox 360 purely because I hired it and got all of the achievements in one day. So
in one day?
I was desperately addicted to unlocking those achievements back in the day. Mm-hmm. Pumped my gamer score up very high, very quick, with a lot of rentals.
I bet.
Very exciting. Did you know Nintendo actually tried to lock down the video game rights to Harry Potter when the first book came out?
I'm not surprised.
They saw that and thought, that's going to be big. Would you like to come to us? And they said no. And they're like, okay, well, never mind then.
I think Nintendo would have handled Harry Potter better. If they'd been able to make it and work with them to make an IP based on Harry Potter, they would have done, no offense to the devs that worked on those games, but I feel like they could have done a lot more with them. And Japan loves Harry Potter. Like, they are Harry Potter crazy. We saw that when we were over there. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. Like, they love, like, anything magical, I guess, is like a big thing. But
it is a magical land. You know, high schoolers quite often get up to crime fighting and demon slaying and all sorts of things.
Sailor
in Japan.
Moon, a lot of magical girls
it's fantastic.
with their wands and
what an experience.
Harry Potter especially. Malfoy, they're obsessed with Malfoy from Harry Potter.
He's a good looking blonde man.
Anyways, we've been going off track a bit.
Malfoy's good looks aside, we had a good time watching the Game Awards. There was nothing that we flat out said, that is garbage, that is unfair, that is not deserving of an award. Mm-hmm. So all up, it gets my stamp of approval.
Yeah. I was happy. I think there was a few categories I just wasn't as familiar with the content. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't really go, I don't know if that went to the right person or not. But
well, that's why you're not a judge.
But also, I'm like, it makes me want to look into it, you know. I think that's a good thing that these awards shed light on a lot of categories in gaming that maybe people haven't looked into before. And I hope that aside from knowing what won the Game of the Year and like the big AAA titles, that those gaming fans that have watched it and seen it will look at some of the other stuff too and see if there's something new and undiscovered that they will uncover from it.
Yeah, and most importantly, the most important thing about the video game industry is that now you have an entirely new relevant list of names to give children, like Celeste, Florence, or what was it, Dr. Lupo. Fantastic.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaminglovers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for Gaming Goals. Spectacular.
I thought you were going to do it faster, and then I noticed you were like holding that note, so I had to slow it down.
You did very well in keeping up with the new and improved Gaming Goals jingle. It may be refined again very soon. It's hard to keep track of sometimes. What do you intend on playing in the next week?
Oh my goodness, everything. Undoubtedly, there will be much more dancing, whether it's in Moonlight, in Starlight, or All Night. I will be playing those games. I do want to play more Odyssey. I want to keep the story momentum going as far as Assassin's Creed. And I have a feeling there's going to be a bit more smashing.
There will be some smashing.
Yes.
I'm going to target unlocking as many characters as I can. Who knows if I'll be able to get the entire roster by the time the next podcast drops. I mean, there's a lot to do.
There's so many. Oh, my word.
But I'm not the sort of person who would just set up a one-stock match and self-destruct to kill myself to then unlock the next character. I like to do it through doing things like the classic mode, like the World of Light single-player mode, or maybe just playing with my lovely wife and beating her up. And then,
You wish.
well, you're always happy to beat me, but then when you have to face the rather difficult character that shows up to unlock it,
I get nervous. I unlocked a couple of characters when we were playing, though.
you have a better success rate than I do. I lost 3 in a row.
Oh.
We'd have more characters now if I was just better.
Oh,
I'm terrible. I'm out of form. I was good at Melee. I was unstoppable as Falco.
You just got to get your rhythm back. This is like me with like the rhythm games that I've been playing. Like it's taken me a while to shake off the rust and get back into rhythm game mode because I was able to play those on like the hardest difficulty and be okay. And I'm like, how did that happen? I'm playing on easy and I suck. So it takes practice.
Well, Smash
and
Brothers,
you'll
like
get better.
a lot of fighting games, they sort of nerf some characters, they buff others to sort of bring the balance in scale. And when you've got a roster of 70-something characters, there's going to be some imbalances that here and there.
Yeah.
But in Melee in particular, there were certain tactics that if you're above someone in the air, certain characters had down attacks that would sprocket. Shoot them flying to their doom straight beneath you. And I was excellent at exploiting that, but then from Brawl onwards, they got rid of those spikes, so I then had to adjust all of my tactics, and I haven't found anything that works just as well. I was literally unstoppable as Falco in Melee.
Yes, and then you had to fight against me in my Kirby box drops.
I'm also probably going to be playing some Yakuza, I would say. I don't know, it's hard to say. It's very difficult this time of year. There's a lot of work going on, a lot of
parties,
planning for family get-togethers, end-of-year activities. Everyone's like, oh, we're going to catch up before the new year. It's like, well, go to work for me so I can just hang out with other people.
Why couldn't you catch up at other times of the year?
Yeah, a bit difficult, but we'll get there. No promises is what I'm pretty much getting to. I might do some dancing. I might do some smashing. I might try to shake down Mr. Shakedown for money in Yakuza. I may even do another Dark Souls session. Again, no promises. It's hard to find big blocks of time, and Dark Souls is the style of game that I do like to play for more than an hour at a time.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of gaming to do. I think we should go get to it.
Well, there's no time like the present, and since it was a present that didn't become a present, I'm going to go play Smash Brothers.
Bye, Nara.
What am I going to say to sign off? Maybe I should say something clever, like Chowski. No, that'd be ridiculous.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.